Hello again. There's a bit of a nice 7-inch that I just picked up the other day by a group called Zouk. Interesting. Nice, cheap and cheerful one. Anyway, I haven't made a video for a while, I don't think a month or so. So I've been listening to some tunes and I've got a few new tunes as well. So I thought I'd share them as usual and see what we can make of it all. So there is something that I've really been enjoying quite a lot recently. It's a compilation series. There's 2 volumes, Color de Tropico, which is Venezuelan music, mainly from the 60s and 70s, I should think. A real range of styles, but these are 2 Spanish compilations. One was released last year, one was released this year. This is the first volume and it's the better volume, I think, but really great stuff on here. Lots of lovely funk, slightly more Latin-y things as well. Some things which are quite particular to Venezuela, but really worth checking out. They're a bit difficult to get, sadly, in this country, but definitely worth checking out. And volume 2's got a really nice one by a group called Los Kings, who basically doing that international James Brown sound, and it's wonderful, wonderful funk tune. And yeah, there's some great stuff on here as well. Nelson y sus Estrellas, there's an original of theirs. That's another compilation actually. I've got a lovely tune on there. Can't remember what it's called though. Maria la Bella, I think. Really nice, I guess that's more of a salsa kind of tune. But a group who appear actually on both volumes of Color de Tropico and have had this album of theirs released is a group called Almendra, and I highly, highly recommend this. Now, if you look at that record, it just looks like a generic heavy metal album, but there's nothing of the sort. It is an absolute monster, this album, and I recommend it to everybody. And it's not too expensive to get this reissue. Obviously, an original would be absurd. And this reissue sounds pretty good to me. They are a group, and it's a real fusion of everything. There's jazzy bits, there's Latin bits, there's funky bits. There's even a few sort of bits where they start shredding on the guitar. So it's absolutely a beautiful, beautiful music. Lots of synth going on here. So I really, really love this, and I can't recommend it highly enough. The last month or so, it's been pretty much all I've been listening to. I've been listening to other stuff, but this has been consuming my time a lot. All of the songs are pretty well fantastic. I don't think there's one that springs to mind particularly. The whole album from start to finish, over and over again, is absolutely lovely. So definitely recommend that one. Almendra is the name of the group. Check it out. And sticking with the Latin, here's one more. An old classic with a wonderful cover. This is Grupo Irakere, say it how you will, from Cuba. And again, this is a lovely sort of fusion of everything. Now there's many different versions of this album. This is actually a Cuban pressing, and it has this really cool cover, but there's loads of different covers for this album. Some of them can be quite hard to get. A lot of them appear to be in Eastern Europe, and certainly I got this in Hungary. So interesting place. Maybe because of from the days of communism, a lot of Cuban records ended up in Eastern Europe, but it's absolutely sensational, this record. This is their first record, and again, it's got everything in it. It's got funk, it's got all those Cuban rhythms going on as well. It's got jazz, it's got some heavy guitars, it's got a bit of everything, and it's just one of those real melting pot kind of albums. Very flimsy cover you get with these old records, but it sounds pretty good actually, I have to say. There they are on the back, looking pretty cool and groovy, and you can see a big band and the kind of instruments that they're packing there. But yeah, lovely, with the Chucho Valdez, who's a big name in Cuban music, was like the band leader there. But yeah, there's so much to recommend on this, and really worth checking out. I know there's been a few soul jazz compilations of Cuban music recently, and I'm pretty sure that Irakere would feature on them. This is a seminal album, definitely worth checking out as well. So that's been my Latin flex for the last month or so. But I've also been on a bit of a disco kick as well. Now, John the 6-inch pianist was very kind to send me a spare copy that he had of White Heat, which isn't really a disco album, I should say, more of a funk album, but all produced by Barry White, and or executive produced by Barry White, I should say. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to have Gene Page on it, but it's pretty damn funky. But it's still got that inimitable Barry White sound. So that's been a lovely listen. So thank you very much, John, for that. And yeah, keeping with the Barry White thing, I've been getting a bit more disco with the Love Unlimited Orchestra. This is a nice one. I'm not sure if I find this album really silly or I really like it, but when it's good, it's fantastic. The Love Unlimited Orchestra presents Mr. Webster Lewis. Webster Lewis, great keyboard player, I think. And I love the opening track on here, Welcome Aboard. It's kind of like a breezy, very, very catchy disco thing about taking a plane. And I love it. Yeah, I've had this for quite a while. And it's a song I always like to have in my head when I'm flying on a plane. It makes me feel calm. So yeah, that's a nice one. There's also a nice couple of two-step numbers on here which make it worth the price of admission, which is always good. And yeah, why not just add another one. I was at a record fair in North London a few weeks ago and picked up this one, which is another fairly dodgy disco LP, which yeah, it's a bit forgettable on the first side, but on the second side, it's the two-step soul numbers really pick up, and there's some really good stuff on here. Look What They've Done to Our City is a really good thing, and actually just the last couple of months I've had a bit of time, so I've been re-watching The Wire, obviously a seminal television program from the last decade. And that song, Look What They've Done to Our City, always makes you think of that series. Great series, obviously, very famous. But yeah, What Goes Around is another big two-step number on this album. So really nice, Brenda and Herb. It's one of those sort of one-track albums, but there's more than one track, so that's good. But it's not perhaps totally amazing, but for less than a tenner, I wouldn't complain. And I also managed to pick up this one at the fair, which I was aware of and I've been looking out for, not really very hard, but I thought, well, if I see it and it's not too expensive, I might get it. Open Your Heart by the J.O.B. Orchestra, which is a very interesting disco album, basically. When it gets groovy, it gets groovy. I don't find myself playing it that often, but there's some interesting stuff, and it's got this kind of weird Hare Krishna religious message that's going through it. But it's an interesting listen, and I know it's a very much loved record by a lot of people, this one. So there's some good fun to be had on that, so I was glad to pick that up. It's nice to go to a record fair occasionally, although you usually get a bit carried away. Anyway, speaking of carried away, that's 10 minutes of me talking. So I'll put a few samples on because there's some good stuff in that stack. I hope everybody's well. Been enjoying everybody's videos. Lots of people talking about their collections and what it means to collect. I think it's been quite interesting to watch a lot of those videos. But until next time, hope everybody's well.